Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
Hello, and thanks for joining us once again on the Iron Hour podcast. A huge thank you to our sponsors, as always: Best Blanks Wholesale, Hole in the Wand, AC, Videography and Photography, and of course, No Film. We are back with another action-packed episode. We've got lots to discuss. Coming up on today's episode, we will look at the Brackley game in as much detail as we can. We'll have a look at the penalty and, of course, the red card. We'll look ahead to the Eastleigh game and we'll have our usual Spy in the Camp segment. I'm pleased to say I'm joined today by two of my usual panellists. First up, we've got everybody's favourite, and nobody has blocked her on Twitter. It's, of course, Becky.
Hello, good evening. I think everyone's blocked me on Twitter, so I have to get on people's screens somehow, don't I?
We like to think we are that vessel. And we are also joined today by probably the opposite of what I've just said, really. Definitely been blocked by many a person on social media. Probably their least favourite. You're my favourite. Well, you're in my top five, Max.
Does that include yourself if you've got a top five?
I couldn't possibly comment. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks, Barra, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm better, really. I mean, we've finished August unbeaten. Disappointed, I guess, with the late equaliser against Brackley, but I don't think it could have gone much better, could it, Max?
No, 11 points from the first 5 games. I've certainly taken that. It's probably a better start than I think any Scunny fan could have reasonably predicted. And look, we conceded an equaliser in the 98th minute away from home in the pouring rain. It's still a long drive home. It's still, as a football fan, one of those moments that sort of punches you in the gut. But if you'd have asked me at the start of the season, would you take 11 points, from your first 5? So absolutely, 100% I would. If you'd asked me before the game against Brackley, would I have taken a point? I probably would have. If you asked me at half time, yeah, realistically, I probably would have. So, look, it was gutting, but it's important to not lose perspective.
Of course, we'll keep our perspective. We had many a prediction at the start of the season on how this first month would go. Marco predicted we'd only pick up 6 points. Now, Becky, we've almost doubled that points tally. How pleased are you with the start of the season?
Do you know I can't actually remember what I said? Do you know what mine was?
I don't think you were on that episode, so let's hold Marcos to account.
All right, then.
Well done.
I thought I was going to be eating eating my own words. I'm very pleased with the start of the season. I think we've had some quite tough games as well, and we've been in some quite tough situations. Like we said, the pitch is not very good at our place. We've been away. We've done amazing away compared to the last time I was in National League. Let's be real. It's a dream start. We wouldn't win every game, but it seems like the players are up for it a lot as well. Like they're seeing this chance and running with it. Like, obviously, when we was in the National League North for the second year in a row, it was trying to get the momentum built back up to try and get that playoffs. And obviously we won and it was all a high. I feel like Butler's keeping them on that high, which is really good. And I think that might be what's helping us massively as well. The squad is very, very strong. I think it's stronger than the last time was in National League. And I don't say that very easily, but I do think it's a really good squad and they seem to have gelled really well. And even like on Twitter and stuff like that, it just seems like they're actually really good friends and they're actually enjoying the workplace they're at the moment. And obviously, we know last time in National League, it was very up in air. We didn't know about owners and the situation. So it seems like it's bubbled down and everyone's getting back to business. And it's really nice to actually see. And I'm really impressed. We've had 2 red cards. So, like you said, you're going to talk about it. We've had 2 red cards. We've not lost. We've came away with something. So, and they're not the easiest. Like you said, it was pissing it down.
Lots to be pleased about indeed. Let's have a look at that Brackley game then, Max. Let's talk in specific. So, of course, the first thing to mention is the Iron Hour podcast sponsored the game. What was the hospitality experience like?
Oh, it's terrific. Everyone at Brackley was super friendly. It was a really great operation. I mean, they had lots of volunteers. Brackley's only about a quarter of the size of Scunthorpe, as is their home support. roughly, but couldn't speak highly enough of all of their volunteers. I know that Gareth and Dill had a really, really great time as well. I think my highlight of the season so far would be seeing Gareth formally present the match ball to the referee. And genuinely, I think that's the best referee I've seen in quite a while. I thought he got just about every decision spot on. So I'm going to give Gareth the credit. If you know when, like, if anybody's seen Space Jam, you know how like this, they used the balls to suck all of the talent out. I think it was the opposite of that. By formally taking the match ball from Gareth, the referee's gone, do you know what? I'm going to have a decent game today.
Can we just tell our listeners about specifically what we're talking about there? So, unbeknownst to Gareth,
and it was unbeknownst to Gareth, having seen the look in his eyes when I said it to him.
I stitched him up like a kipper. I had contacted Brackley in advance and told them that Gareth would be so honoured to present the referee with the match ball before kick-off. I did tell them that he was a bit shy, so not to tell him until just before it was due. And I'm told, Max, that that's exactly what happened.
That is exactly what happened. I feel like, ironically now, if Gareth can do some sort of editing magic, we might insert a photograph or two here of him doing the honours. When I said, no, I think it should be you, Gareth, Dill was very much keen for it to happen as well. And he was a great sport. It was so good. It was just
Gareth's got us loads of times. Gareth's got every single one of us somewhere, somehow. Like in the group chats, you're always getting little videos of where you've messed up somewhere, and it's really embarrassing. So it was actually really nice to actually see karma come to him, really. But the question is, did you sign a non-disclosure agreement before with Brackley, or is that just Gareth's game?
I feel like most people would say I have the opposite problem in that actually I disclose too much. I think it was just a shame the way the DAZN camera was pictured. It couldn't quite capture Gareth because like the tunnel of Brackley's in the corner where they were coming out from. But it was such a good laugh. I mean, we sat in the main stand for the game because that's where it was the driest, and I stood at the back. So my sympathies went out to the Scuddy fans on the terrace behind the goal. You could see with their coats on and the hoods up as the wind was blowing the rain right in their faces. Look, it was a great day. I got a lot of time for Brackley. I thought they deservedly won the league last season. It was just gutting that we couldn't hold on really. But it's like you've said, you've still got to be really pleased with the start of the season, and rightly so.
Let's talk about the game in specifics then, Max. I thought first half, pretty decent, and Dec Howe playing in that unfamiliar role on the wing, really, because of the formation that we employed. Did he impress you?
Yeah, I think particularly his pressing. I mean, the weather didn't make it easy. It was driving down. I thought the first half was pretty even, really. The first sort of 20 to 25 minutes, but perhaps Brackley edged it, but then we grew into the first half as we got closer to the break. Both sides were just sort of lacking that final bit of quality, that final delivery, that final pass. But you would struggle really to have highlighted anybody who you thought you didn't have a great game. I thought the two centre halves were terrific, both Evans and Boyce. The Brackley fans were praising them at the breaks, and they won everything in the air really. I thought Mason Campbell had another really, really good game. Made a couple of key saves when he needed to, and he came for the crosses when he needed to. So, I've only got good words to say really about the performance over the whole 90 minutes from everyone really. But like Becky said, I'm sure we'll come on to the red card shortly.
Well, the game kind of hinged on two big decisions. First of all, the penalty awarded to us. Now, I think it's one of those that if the ball's in play, I think Butler said this himself, if the ball's in play, it's a penalty. But the question there is whether the ball was in play. Did you think that decision was the right one?
Yeah, I did. I think we need to see more of those kind of penalties given in professional football, because how many times do you see like a set piece turn into basically sumo wrestling and the officials just shrug their shoulders and don't do anything about it? I thought Butler described the situation perfectly. So it was almost like the ice hockey where they pull their shirts over their heads to stop them moving. That was exactly what happened at the back post. And we also Gareth for his vlog, which hopefully will be out soon, like captured it quite well. I thought it was a penalty. I thought that was the first of the two big decisions that the ref got spot on, in fairness to him.
And
sorry.
I
do find with Danny Whitehall, though, refs either give him a fair shot or they not take advantage as such, but I feel like they know he's one of these shithouses, so they don't take a lot of his stuff seriously. So it was actually nice to see the ref give it. Even I think the ref was a little bit unsure, but like I said, Whitehall gets some. He gets some that he probably shouldn't. He gets not some what he probably should. So it was.
Yeah, Becky's bang on. Whitehall's reputation definitely precedes him with referees, and it's almost an extra point out of 10 for it to be a foul. But I think that one was so egregious that as long as the referee's looking at that back post when that happens, bang. I didn't really see Brackley players complaining at the decision. I don't know. I have to watch it back just to be doubly sure. But then, if your excuses was the ball in play or not, that's you saying he's rugby tackled him. And I think as defenders, it's a risk-reward scenario. Like, why take the risk? If you play stupid games, you'll win stupid prizes. So, I would have no complaints if it had been the other way around and, he'd penalised us for that.
The other huge decision was, of course, the second booking for Joe Starbuck, which resulted in a red card for simulation. I've watched the footage back. I think it was the right decision. I don't think there was a foul there. I think it probably was worthy of a second booking. How did you see it, Max?
I completely agree. I think in a way Starbuck's unlucky because he sees the defender who sort of goes to pull his leg back and he's expecting to get clattered. But to be fair to the Brackley defender, he pulls out just at the last second. Starbuck still goes down, and at that point, you might get maybe 5 times out of 10, the referee might go and just not give the foul and not give the indirect free kick. But I would say 2 things. One, I actually thought Starbuck was having a good game up until that point, but when he's already on a yellow card, he's maybe got to be a little bit smarter. Again, it's risk-reward scenario. We're already 1-0 up. If you haven't been booked up until that point, then the risk is much lower. And then actually, secondly, it was 3 minutes after the referee had already given us a penalty. I think to get a second penalty in 3 minutes, it's practically got to be GBH.
Or Darren Deadman.
or Darren Deadman, or whoever that ref was that Gillingham 3 penalties in 10 minutes or whatever it was.
So they were, to be fair, all 3 of them were penalties.
It was frustrating. I've been consistently a fan of Starbucks since last season, and I thought he had a good game up until that point, but it completely changed the momentum of the second half. Up until that point, we'd come out really well since the break. I think we probably at that point deservedly got our noses in front, and had we been able to keep 11 men on the pitch, I remain confident that we would have won that game. So games swing on big moments, and after that, Brackley really pushed us. Up until their goal.
The ref was very card happy as well, so it was a big risk to take because I think he gave about 9, didn't he? In the end, nine yellow cards.
Yeah, it was. So
he was very trigger happy.
Yeah,
he was very happy to give them. So it's just. Maybe Starbuck actually, I don't know. Am I making excuses for him or was it just stupid? But maybe he forgot. Maybe he got caught up in the moment. It's you don't know, do you? This is the point because he's been so well and so good before. But like we said, can you remember Will Evans at Alfreton a couple of seasons ago? He just got lost in the moment, had a shit, and then got sent off. So I think maybe Starbuck just got lost in the moment, and I don't think we can blame him too much because I think he's brought us and saved us more than he's cost us.
Yeah, just on the yellow cards as well. It is a good point. That in a way, I don't mind if a referee lets a lot go or he's more stringent. What you want as a fan, I think, is consistency because at least then both sets of players know where they stand. And even though there was, quite a few cards were given in the game, there wasn't really even a single tackle during the game where I thought, well, that was naughty. But what there was from both sides, I thought was quite a few of the good fouls to give. Both Scunthorpe and Brackley were trying to hit each other on the break when the moment's presented. And sometimes you need to give the shirt pull. You need to maybe, give the foul away at that moment where it probably is a yellow card, for the more cynical fouls. So, I don't really have any complaints on that front, unfortunately. It's just now we're in the position of going, God, who's going to play it right back against Eastley?
Becky, I wanted to talk about our situation in not quite keeping a clean sheet because it's eluded us so far this season. We came ever so close on Saturday, probably just 30, 45 seconds away from keeping a clean sheet. What would you put that down to? Do you think it's a case of the step up from National League North to National League, or are we conceding too many? Do we need to tighten up a little bit?
I think you've got to remember that this is Campbell's first go at this. And for his first go, I was very sceptical and I was very honest on the pod. I was very sceptical and I didn't think he would be good enough, but I can see that he's trying and he's really, really good. And he's, like I said, Starbuck, he's saving us more than he's costing us. And yes, he's let a goal, well, let several goals in. But the problem is, well, it's not a problem. The thing is that we're scoring more, if that makes sense, than the last time. And I think it is a bit of a step up, but I also think it takes time as well. Like he is brand new. He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders. Like the number one shirt, I think is one of the biggest in the 11, if not the biggest. So he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders for such a young lad, and I think he's doing really well. And I think he knows that in the back of his mind, if he does let a goal in or he does concede, that he's gonna be blamed for it all the time, and it's get Mason out, get Campbell out, and stuff like that. So I can't actually remember your question, but I'm just going on a rant. But I don't think it's the step up, and I'm not concerned. I'm not stressed that we should be searching for another keeper or getting a banner saying get Watson on. I'm happy with. I can see Campbell's progress already, and I'm starting to believe what Butler sees in him. I'm not there yet. I'm not as high as Butler, but I can see that his back line as well are massively helping him and giving him the confidence. And I just think a couple of more games this season as well. I think it'll be great.
I mean, I think the question was more broadly around the defensive unit. I think Campbell is an interesting one. I thought he had another good game on Saturday, Max. That's probably two in a row now, I would think. And other than that one goal at Woking, I don't really think he's been littered with the mistakes that I would read on social media.
No, and look, you defend as a team. And
Correct.
He certainly could have done less than nothing about the goal that Brackley did score. I thought what was interesting about Brackley's goal was that they're a football side, and right up until that moment, they consistently avoided the temptation of going long. Because actually, as a Scunthorpe fan, that's probably what I want. I want the long balls to Evans and Boyce's heads because I know that statistically they'll win more than they lose. They kept the ball on the ground. They tried to get the overlaps. They tried to get the good triangles going. They're trying to get in behind us. But literally in the 98th minute, that was the first time they went, right, we're going to hit you with the big 40, 45-yard diagonal balls. It's gone to the back post, and they've beat Carlton in the air. And actually, go on. No, Barra's going to jump in.
It was JB. It wasn't. Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to blame the rain.
Yes, no, it's fine. I had this conversation with Gareth this morning when he said the same, and I was like, mate, I watched the footage and I'm almost certain it's JB, so I watched it back. It is 100% not Carlton. He's
okay
to the left of the action, yeah.
Me and you have had this before where...
on this occasion, I am right.
Because you swore blind to me that it was Carlton and not Federa. And as soon as they win that first header, and it's a really good header back across the face, you're really, really up against it. And in fairness to the substitute from Brackley, which was Danny Waldron, ex-Rushall,
Great player.
And it's a really well-timed run as well. Steams in, and as soon as he gets into that right position, he's scoring that. So, from an offensive point of view, in injury time, that's pretty much the perfect goal. It's worked out very well for them. I wouldn't criticise the defending for it. And even more so than Becky, I'm pretty relaxed about our defending. I think the fact that we, with 10 men, including injury time, against Halifax, we had 10 men for more, like 60 to 65 minutes. There was a lot of injury time in that game, and we did defend the box really well. I would usually be concerned about us being vulnerable to, nippy strikers. You're looking for the ball in behind, striker dropping deep to try and bring one of your centre halves out of position, looking for a flick around the corner. But we've defended that pretty well all season. We would have had a clean sheet against Woking, were it not for their consolation goal direct from the corner. But again, even in that game, I think that's the first 15 minutes when Woking really did get the ball down, and you thought, "Oh, hang on, this is a bit lively. We didn't see any of this last season. What's going on here?" And we weathered the storm. And then when we got our noses in front, the complexion of the game changed. So, but we'll see what happens away at Eastleigh. I suspect it will be an interesting game. Particularly, I wonder if the conundrum at right back might force a change of shape. I genuinely don't know on that front. But I've been pleased with our defending so far this season. I think it bodes well, and the fact that we don't have a clean sheet yet, well, you win every home game 3-1, who cares?
Well, that draws a line under the Brackley review. Let's go to our usual spy in the camp. Well, I'm pleased to say we're joined this week by the head of media and communications at Eastleigh FC. It's, of course, Ricky Hart. And I will say a big thank you to our striker, Danny Whitehall, for sorting this out. And I must say, Ricky, he did speak very highly of you. So no pressure, but I've been told you're a high caliber guest. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? It's good to hear that Danny Whitehall said all of that about me. I've always spoken highly of Danny as well. So it's nice to hear that it's reciprocated.
To be fair, it's hard to know if he's taking the piss, though, isn't it? So
that's very true. That is very true. He's very tongue-in-cheek kind of guy. So you never really know.
Right. So it's been a mixed start to the season for Eastleigh. 3 wins, 3 defeats. We never know how soon it is to look at the league table, but I always have a little gander. And you're up to 9th. Is that kind of in line with expectations?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a solid enough start. I think obviously from our point of view, I think if I'm not mistaken, we're the longest serving National League team at the moment consecutively. So the objective is to get promoted, whether that's automatically or whether that's through the playoffs. That is the target. So 9th after 6 games, can't really have too many qualms about that, if I'm honest. And it's just, I think we just need to try and get a run together. Obviously, we beat Altrincham Saturday. So yeah, it's just about getting a run together now. And I know that'll be a bit difficult against yourselves, who, as you said, are unbeaten.
I look at Eastleigh, and I think it's a very strange place geographically. Do you struggle to attract players, or actually is that not an issue at all?
I don't think so, to be honest. It makes sense as to why it would, but I don't think it is, because the benefit you have of living down in and around Eastleigh, whether that's Southampton, Winchester, somewhere around there, is you're only about maybe an hour and a half away from London. So there's that selling point as well. And you're by the coast. Granted, there's no beaches down in Southampton, but yeah, Bournemouth, that's a 40-minute drive away, which I know is where a few of the players live. So there is a selling point. And to be honest, I know there are worse places to live in the country than maybe down on the south coast. So to be honest, no, I think we get on all right at attracting players to come to the south coast. Obviously, when you've got players, that are complete other end of the country, it's always hard to get them to flip that and come down south. But if you're sort of a Midlands player or a London-based player or already a South Coast player, it's not too difficult, I don't think.
Practically, what have you looked like so far this season? It's obviously, we've only played 6 games, it's difficult to tell, but considering you haven't drawn a game, are goals conceded an issue?
I think defensively, for the most part, I think we've been quite good, actually, and I think it's little moments in certain games. For example, we played Forest Green on Monday, on the bank holiday Monday, and we lost 1-0. Defensively, I thought we were superb throughout. We didn't, our squad was running thin that day, so we couldn't field a full bench. We were lacking strikers, but defensively we looked really good. And then eventually we were undone by, to be fair, a really, really good free kick. And I think it's just small moments like that, bit of concentration, a bit of brilliance from the opposition, and I think it just undoes us. I think maybe the argument is that we need more goals. I think we score, if you take away Aldershot, that was sort of an anomaly, but 2 goals maybe is the max that we score in a game. And games that we do win are by that. So it's hard to put really what it is. I know that we played with wing backs who sort of bomb up and down. But again, I think at the moment we've struggled over the last 3 games because we've had Paul McCallum suspended. So when you're playing with wing backs and trying to get crosses into the box, we've got Xavier Messiah Edwards from Watford, who's, I don't know his exact height, but nowhere near as tall as Paul McCallum, and same with Aaron Blair as well, who, to be fair to him, has started off the season really well. But again, when you're whipping balls into the box, you need height, and we've been without McCallum, which has been a bit of a loss.
You talked about the fact that Eastleigh are a very well-established conference team. I think the last 2 seasons you finished in 13th place consecutively. What realistically are you looking at this season? I know you touched earlier on the fact that you would like to be a league club at some point. Are playoffs a realistic ambition this season?
I honestly, not even just saying it, I don't see why not. I think we've invested really well in the summer. We've got some really good caliber of players in the squad. And there's always the argument, it's early on, trying to get them to gel, all those cliches. But I do think if we can get a little run together, and I know it's a big if, because winning a football match at any level is a difficult thing to do. But if we can get a run together, I don't see why playoffs aren't a possibility for us, and why we can't achieve that. The owner has invested a significant amount of money. And we've attracted players from League One, League Two, obviously Nick Townsend as well from, I know, League Two, second most saves in the EFL last season. So we've, as I say, invested in really good players. So I don't see why not.
So the South Coast, North Lincolnshire, there's not too much that kind of unites us in terms of common grounds, but we do have one in Danny Whitehall, obviously having come from Eastleigh. What was Danny's time at Eastleigh like?
Brilliant. So to be fair, I came in, I think, similar time that he did to the club. Granted, I was on work experience then, so it was sort of like just not really getting too involved in the players. But from what I did see, he was a really, really nice person before anything else. Obviously, he's an unbelievable footballer, but a really nice person at the forefront. Really funny, really easy to get on with. I remember him making me feel so comfortable when I was sort of trying to find my way in the industry and find my way in the football world. But yeah, as a player, amazing. Somebody who can just produce that little bit of magic out of nowhere, can produce a goal from nothing. He's got, set pieces, and I know that he scored a penalty for yourselves, am I right? And he scored free kicks for us in the past. One sort of moment that he'll probably be annoyed that I didn't post the other day, because it was the maybe 3-year anniversary of it, was that halfway line goal for Eastley against Southend, which he's...
Oh, don't worry, he's got his penny's worth out of that, mate. I think he's told us about it 3 times on this podcast alone. So
yeah, he loves it. And I'm actually surprised he didn't message me like he does every year and goes, "Oh, is it going out today?" So sorry, Danny, but it wasn't maybe the right time to be posting that based on the Monday's result. But yeah, a really good person, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. He's really lovely.
did he leave any kind of a void at Eastley in terms of the goals? Because he did take a step down to come to Scunthorpe, and it was a bit of a surprise when he did, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I think the type of player that he is, it's sort of, I don't know if it maybe left a void. I can't actually remember the striker that came in directly after him, but I don't know. I can't remember if it left a void in terms of goals. I think it left a void in terms of the type of player that he was and the way that we played. You mentioned it actually as well. That sort of Scunthorpe play around him.
Yeah,
and that was for us. We sort of catered to him and played in the way that would benefit him the best to get the best out of him. And I think when he left, we had to change that. And then obviously now we've got Paul McCallum, who we've had for the last couple of seasons, and during that stint that he's had with us, he won National League player, most goals, top scorer, basically. And so again, did we miss a void of goals? No, but did we miss playing the way that we played around him? I think so, yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on, Ricky. Just before I let you go, we always ask our guests for a prediction for the upcoming game. So how do you see this one going down on Tuesday night?
I've got to be optimistic. I have to. At home, Tuesday night, I would like to say 2-1 Eastleigh, but Danny White will score your goal.
Okay, we'll take that. Okay, great to hear from Ricky there. And once again, a huge thank you to Danny Whitehall for sorting out our spy in the camp this week. Now, one thing I forgot to mention with Ricky there, Becky, was, of course, Andy Boyce, the other common denominator between ourselves and Eastley. How do you think he's taken on the captaincy so far this season?
I don't think there's anyone that could do it as well as him, to be fair. Well, Evans would be a very close second, but I think he was born a captain, and I think he was very much a captain alongside Clunan last season. So he's took it in his stride. I would be concerned if it was anyone else that was captain. I think he's strong. Do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Andy Crosby. And I had so much faith in Andy Crosby. I just didn't worry about the back with him. And that's who Boyce reminds me of. And he's a go-getter. He doesn't just sit back and command. He actually gets involved as well. And he's so tall, so it helps. But yeah, I think he's took it in his stride, and I think he's excellent. Honestly, I think he's a godsend.
Interestingly enough, he reminds me, and you'll laugh at this, but he reminds me of Andy Butler. I see a lot of similarities in their game. Really dominating centre back with a big physical presence. I know Butts himself has said he sees a lot of similarities in terms of the game style, but also I think he's a leader. And I don't know that you would have thought, and it's in a subtle way, and it's a bit like it is with Butler. I don't think you would have looked at Butler 5, 6 years ago and thought, oh, he'll be a good manager. And I think I have a feeling it'll be the same for Boyce. I don't think you would look at him and necessarily think, oh, he'll be a fantastic manager, but I've just got a feeling that he's earmarked by Butts and by people at the club for a future in coaching at Scunthorpe. So it'll be interesting to see how that one develops. Max, let's have a little look at the Eastleigh game then. How do you see this one going down? Particularly, we've talked about the issues at right back and left back. I imagine Tyler Denton will be playing in that left back role, but that right back role is now up for grabs. Who do you think will play on Tuesday night?
It's a very good question. I'm genuinely not sure. If it is one of potentially a number of midfielders who could slot in there. I think of times last season when Scales filled in a little bit, Brogan filled in a little bit. Obviously, the last 2 games, Carlton has dropped into that position. But in all 3 of those scenarios, it was as a wing back and not as a full back in a back 4. So, if gun to my head, I think we switched to a back 5 against Eastley to try and provide a little bit of extra protection there. You play Howe and Whitehall up front and maybe Roberts in the 10. Fitness permitting. I know with the games coming thick and fast, that's always a question, particularly the way in which Roberts went off. So I do hope he's okay. A gun to my head, maybe Scales, because then it means you don't have to mess about with the midfield. But it's a genuine guess. I'm honestly not sure. It's impacting my thinking of how's the game going to go, because this is the one where I'm really not sure going in. There's part of me that thinks, well, we've got to lose sometime, but there's also part of me that thinks, well, if we play like we did at Sutton, if we play like we did at Tamworth, when we defended the aerial battle really well for long periods, then we can get something out of the game. So, yeah, it's going to be a big test.
So how does
probably
that...
good, though. Sorry. It's probably good that we don't know how Butler's going to play, because that means they don't know how we're going to play. So I know we seem quite negative on it and it's a little bit of a worry, but if we don't know as fans, then surely they don't really know either. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And I think what was it you joked prior to the Brackley pod, Barra, that for 4 games in a row you predicted 0-0? I wonder if it's maybe 5th time's the charm.
I'm gonna twist this week, but
okay.
I just want to ask you though on that back 5 then. So you talked about Scales at right back, presumably Denton at left back. What does that back 3 look like then? Is JB coming back in for you?
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Would be my guess, and then Howell Whitehall up front together. That would be my guess, and I think away from home, you could probably justify that given the situation, at right back in terms of it's unlikely that Rose is back given the noises that we've been hearing coming out of the club. So, yeah, look, that's why you have a squad of 22, 23 players. That's why you try and have a little bit of depth even in different positions so that you can shuffle the pack if needed. Yeah, we'll see, and if they do set up that way, then it's a good opportunity for Bella Hume coming in as well. So we shall see. That's football, baby.
Great pronunciation there, Max. So I'll chuck in how I see the team shaping up on Tuesday night. I think it'll be a flat back 4, and I think it'll be JB that actually plays at right back. That's how I think Butler will go this week, just to give him that extra defensive cover. I think if you go with a 4, I think playing Scales is a risk defensively, and you would have to go to a 5 to accommodate that. But I'm not so sure that Butler will want to do that just yet. Not necessarily because of the criticism he received for playing 5 at the back. I don't think that comes into it. But I think the way that Eastley play, I feel like a flat 4 in midfield might help us a little bit more. And the way to achieve that is obviously by having the flat 4 at the back as well. So
let's talk about that midfield situation then, Barra. So, if you're thinking of, right, we want to combat Eastley's threats.
Yeah.
So what if you're playing with a flat back 4, to try and give the full-backs a little bit more cover defensively? Who are you playing out wide? Are you playing Roberts as the 10, or are you playing Roberts as a winger with defensive responsibilities? Because that might be tough for him if we then also want him to create.
Sure. I actually think it'll be more of a traditional 4-4-2 this week. So I actually would see Roberts out on the right. I would see Beeston out on the left. And I would see Rowley and Ewing in the middle, kind of as your box-to-box midfielders, and your 2 strikers up front in Howell and Whitehall. So for me, I'm actually expecting more of a traditional outlook this week rather than a box or a diamond or any of the kind of modern formations that we see. And actually,
Christmas pudding with Tom Cruise's sixpence.
Yeah, very good, very good. I would suggest that at times this season, Butler has tried to go to that traditional route where he can, and sometimes I do appreciate it turns into that box. I do get that, but I think at times he's trying to take the formation and the tactics back to basics. That's just the way I've seen it so far this season, and I think he'll probably continue to do that on Tuesday night.
We shall see. We shall see.
As you say, that's football, baby. So, in terms of predictions and scorelines, how do you see this one going then, Becky?
Oh God, I never get these right.
None of us do.
I was 45 seconds off. My first score I predicted the score was the first time since about 1998.
It was still wrong though.
Yeah, I know.
Don't matter if you was a second off, Max Bell. You were still wrong. You're always wrong. I think 1-0. Don't know who. Us. I'm gonna go us. I'm gonna stay positive. Oh, hello.
We are joined by none other than Iron Army for the back end of this podcast. We're just talking about how we see the Eastleigh game going down. Becky's given us her prediction of a 1-0 victory. Gareth, how do you see this one going down?
I think another draw. I just think
give us a bit more, mate. We've waited half an hour, 40 minutes for your arrival.
I've been busy delivering balls to people. I just feel that very good. I thought yesterday there looked like there was some tired legs in the game, and just obviously with the red cards as well stacking up. I just feel a draw. It's a long way down there. I know we're travelling a day earlier, staying over, but yeah, draw.
So I've mooted the idea of maybe Butler going to a traditional 4-4-2 this week, with my suggestion being JB to come in at right back. What do you think is the most likely tactical setup on Tuesday night?
Let's think. Yeah, I think I can see a 4-4-2 working. JB's got to play. He's got to come in, hasn't he? You know what I mean? We're lacking at the back with everything that's going on. Ollie Rose as well. So yeah, I can see that happening. Denton at left back. Yeah, no, I agree.
Wow, wise words from Iron Army himself. Max, what about you? How do you see this one going down?
I'll go for the Eurovision. I'll go for 0-0. I just wonder as to whether or not, because of the defensive issues that Gareth mentioned there, whether or not I guessed that we might be considering a switch to 5 at the back. And I wonder if he does do that, then it's perhaps a little bit easier, especially if you're tied away from home, to sort of set up to try and get that first clean sheet of the season. So, look, we'll see. For the Iron fans who are travelling down, and I know Marco's going down. I hope it's a classic, because it's a long way to go on a Tuesday night. I remember me and Gareth did it a couple of years ago. Did we get beat 2-0? I
think so.
Yeah,
I think it was.
And as the Eastleigh fans sung, it was a long way back to Scunthorpe when we weren't very good. So
you can swear, Max. You can swear,
Can I just ask, who's in your back five, Max? It's not Carlton, is it?
No, I said not starting, not for the whole 90 minutes. My guess was probably Scales, but I get Brogan wouldn't shock me either. And I was bringing in JB as the third centre half. But look, all I want is for us to get a positive result and a positive performance out of the game. So if we do that by playing any formation, I don't really care. And look, even if we get beat, it's important to not lose perspective, because we have started the season very positively, and to end August in the playoffs with a game in hand, can't argue with that.
Gareth, Max did mention there about Max Brogan now, and on this, but let's have a quick conversation about him, because in a lot of ways he's been the forgotten man so far this season, and opportunities are starting to present themselves with injuries and suspensions. How frustrated do you think he will be, and do you think he might get his opportunity soon?
I think Max saying that right back Brogan, he did it in pre-season games, played at right back, so I can see that happening as well if we do play a 5 at the back. But I think if you're on the bench, you're going to be frustrated anyway, aren't you? Regardless, he's not going to be the only one that's going to be frustrated. JB's got to be frustrated. I know he comes on and gets into the game, but he's still going to be frustrated that he's not starting. But as you say, injuries and changes in formations will get people onto the field, and it's being ready to play and give it your all, and try and get into the squad next time round, into the first 11 in the next game, and putting that performance in. So yeah, of course he's going to be frustrated. I think anyone would be. So yeah, I think if it is a 5 at the back, I can see him being at right back over Scales, I'll be honest.
Interesting. So at the start of the episode, so you weren't here, Gareth, but we talked about your fantastic appearance at Brackley and your instrumental role in delivering the match ball to the referee. Let's talk to me about that stitch-up. Who was responsible? What happened there?
As I was, I think I found out as we were walking out that I was going to be presenting the match ball. Max delivered that information to me, and I genuinely thought he was messing around, and he wasn't. So I was just...
Honestly, a politician telling the truth, it's unheard of. But
well, there we go.
It did happen at Brackley, I can tell you that.
But yeah, it was just quite a surreal moment, really. Just stood there, waiting for them to come out. Boyce looking at me thinking, what is he doing there? Looking like a prize twat.
And how relieved are you that you didn't drop it?
Very. That was running through my head. It was wet, it was raining, I'm thinking. And I was just thinking beforehand, make sure you grab this ball properly and pass it properly. Do not drop it. Do not drop it.
I have never seen you so nervous, mate.
When he got it, I was like thinking, thank goodness for that. Just stand there now and wait for everyone to pass by. That was the worst thing, just standing there. I knew there were photographers behind me. I'm thinking I'm going to be everybody's shot, ruining shots here, left, right and centre. Get me out of there quick. But thank you, Barra.
It's all right, mate. I'll look after you. And I can reveal exclusively now on the INR podcast that we have a forfeit for the FPL. It's brave of me announcing this, considering currently I am the one who's bottom out of us 5. But as agreed by a majority vote earlier on.
Yeah, well, I was clearly absent for this.
Well, it was 4-0 from those who voted. The forfeit will be whoever finishes bottom out of us 5 next season for the first home game will be a mascot. You will be coming out with the players and you'll be holding the captain's hand. So, Max, you better hope it's not you, but my spidey senses tell me it's you.
I'm going to book the holiday now. I hear like that part of Bhutan where they still don't have phone signal. Underrated as a holiday destination in August.
So you've got that to look forward to next season. But that draws to a close this episode of the Iron Hour podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, a huge thank you to our sponsors. That's Best Blanks Wholesale, Hole in the Wand, AC Videography and Photography, and No Film. If you would like to follow us on social media, please do so on X, on Facebook, and as we announced the other week, we are now on Instagram, so you can follow us on Instagram, and it is Becky who is running our Instagram page, so make sure you look after her, because I know she's...
No, don't say that, they'll block me.
Very good point, well made. But thank you once again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Up the iron.